Tonight, you are born in the bustling streets of Edo, a city filled with merchants, temples, tea houses, and endless crowds. Life is busy, noisy, and unpredictable. Yet for a young girl, the future is often decided long before she understands what it means. At only 6 years old, your parents make a choice that will shape the rest of your life. Instead of remaining at home, you are sent to an okiya, a geisha house where girls are trained to become entertainers, artists, and masters of social etiquette. The day you arrive, everything changes. The house is quiet, disciplined, and intimidating. The woman in charge, known as the okasan, studies you carefully. She has seen hundreds of girls pass through these doors and can judge character with a single glance. Your parents bow politely and leave. Suddenly, you are alone. As the youngest member of the house, you become a shikomi, an apprentice servant. Your days are filled with chores. You clean floors, carry water, prepare baths, wash clothing, and complete endless errands. The work begins before sunrise and often continues late into the night. You quickly learn that mistakes are not welcome. A dropped tray, a forgotten task, or a poorly executed bow can earn immediate criticism. More important than speaking is watching. You observe the geisha who live in the house. They seem almost unreal. Their movements are graceful. Their voices remain calm. Their appearance is flawless. While cleaning hallways and serving tea, you study everything they do. How they walk, how they sit, how they hold a fan, how they smile. Every gesture appears effortless, but you soon realize that each movement is the result of years of training. There are no formal lessons at first. Your education comes through observation and repetition. Day after day, you practice. You learn how to bow correctly, not too deeply, not too casually. You learn how to enter a room, how to pour tea, how to speak politely, how to remain silent when necessary. Gradually, the skills begin to feel natural. But life as a shikomi is far from glamorous. You sleep in simple quarters and often eat after everyone else. Senior apprentices and geisha outrank you in every way. Still, you endure because you know this stage is temporary. Every respected geisha once started exactly where you are. After several years, your responsibilities begin to change. The house decides you are ready for more advanced training. Now comes one of the most difficult challenges, discipline of the body. You spend hours practicing formal sitting positions. The traditional Caesar posture requires kneeling with your legs folded beneath you. At first, the position feels unbearable. Your legs go numb. Your knees ache. Your back protests. Yet movement is discouraged. You must remain perfectly still. The ability to sit gracefully for long periods is considered essential. You also continue learning the many forms of bowing. Each situation requires a different angle and duration. A greeting, an apology, a thank you, a formal introduction. Every variation carries meaning. Mastering these details takes years. Slowly, your posture improves. Your movements become more controlled. You begin carrying yourself with confidence. Without realizing it, childhood starts to fade away. Eventually, a major milestone arrives. You are no longer simply a servant. You become a maiko, an apprentice geisha. The transformation is dramatic. Your appearance changes completely. Professional stylists spend hours arranging your hair into elaborate traditional styles. The process requires wax, pins, and incredible patience. Maintaining the hairstyle becomes a challenge of its own. To avoid damaging it, you must sleep using a special wooden neck support instead of resting your head normally. The first nights are miserable. Yet like everything else, you adapt. Then comes the clothing. Your kimono is stunning but incredibly heavy. Multiple layers of fabric wrap around your body. Long sleeves trail gracefully as you move. A large obi sash is tied at your back in an intricate design. Getting dressed often requires assistance from experienced attendants. Every accessory carries meaning. Hair ornaments indicate your age, rank, and progress through training. Seasonal decorations change throughout the year. A single incorrect detail can immediately reveal inexperience. As a maiko, you are expected to represent elegance at all times. You attend events alongside senior geisha, observing how they interact with guests. You learn when to speak and when to remain silent. You learn how to read a room. Perhaps most importantly, you learn patience. Soon, another important day arrives, your formal debut. This ceremony marks your introduction to Kyoto's entertainment world. Preparation begins long before dawn. Your makeup is carefully applied. White powder covers your face, neck, and upper chest. Red and black accents highlight your eyes. Your lips are painted according to traditional rules. When you finally look into the mirror, you barely recognize yourself. The transformation is remarkable. You no longer appear to be an ordinary teenager. You look like a living work of art. Wearing towering wooden sandals, you walk through the streets toward your debut events. People notice immediately. New maiko are rare and attract attention wherever they go. Every step must be deliberate. Every smile must appear natural. Every movement is being observed. During the debut ceremony, you meet patrons, greet guests, and demonstrate everything you have learned. The pressure feels overwhelming. One mistake could be remembered for years. Yet despite your nerves, you succeed. You complete the ceremony. You represent your house honorably. You have officially entered the world of traditional entertainment. But this is only the beginning. The years ahead will demand even greater skill. Being a maiko is not simply about appearance. It requires mastery of music, dance, conversation, etiquette, and emotional control. Behind every graceful smile lies countless hours of practice. Behind every elegant performance lies years of sacrifice. And as you step into this new stage of life, you begin to understand a simple truth. The beauty people admire is only the final result. The real story is the discipline, endurance, and dedication hidden beneath the silk and makeup. As a newly debuted maiko, your days become far more demanding than they were during training. People see the elaborate kimono, the carefully painted face, and the beautiful hair ornaments. What they do not see are the countless hours required to maintain that image. Every morning begins with preparation. The makeup alone can take a significant amount of time. First, a layer of oil is applied to the skin. This helps the white foundation adhere evenly. Then comes the signature white powder that transforms your face, neck, and upper chest into a smooth, porcelain-like canvas. The application must be flawless. A single uneven patch can ruin the entire effect. After the white base is complete, red and black pigments are carefully applied around the eyes. Every line must be precise. The lips are painted with equal care, creating the distinctive shape associated with young apprentices. The result is striking. The makeup is not intended to make you look like yourself. It is intended to turn you into something symbolic. You become a representation of tradition rather than an individual. Many outsiders assume this appearance is simply about beauty. In reality, it serves another purpose. It creates distance. When guests see you, they are not meant to focus on your ordinary life, your worries, or your exhaustion. They see the performance. They see the role. The makeup becomes a kind of armor. Once dressed and prepared, the real work begins. One of the most important skills you must master is music. The instrument most closely associated with geisha culture is the shamisen. At first glance, it appears relatively simple. It has only 3 strings. But simplicity can be deceptive. Learning to play it well requires years of dedication. Your fingers ache from practice. Mistakes are corrected immediately. Teachers expect precision. Every note must be played with confidence and control. In the beginning, the sounds you produce are far from beautiful. The instrument complains. You complain. Sometimes both happen at the same time. Yet with enough practice, the music gradually improves. Eventually, melodies begin to emerge. The awkward noise becomes rhythm. The rhythm becomes art. Music is only one part of your education. Dance is equally important. Traditional Japanese dance emphasizes subtlety rather than dramatic movement. Every gesture carries meaning. The angle of a wrist, The turn of a head. The placement of a foot. Nothing is accidental. Unlike many forms of performance, the goal is not to attract attention through speed or power. Instead, beauty is found in restraint. A skilled dancer can communicate emotion with the smallest movement. Learning this level of control takes years. But perhaps the most challenging skill of all is conversation. Many people misunderstand the role of a geisha. They imagine that beauty is the primary requirement. In reality, intelligence and social awareness are equally important. Guests attend gatherings expecting entertainment. That entertainment often comes through conversation. You learn how to keep discussions flowing naturally. You learn how to encourage others to speak. You learn how to make people feel comfortable. A successful geisha understands how to read emotions quickly. She knows when to tell a humorous story. She knows when to listen. She knows when silence is more powerful than words. You begin studying poetry, classical literature, current events, local gossip, popular songs, anything that might help maintain a conversation. A guest might discuss politics. Another might discuss art. A third might spend an hour talking about rice production. Regardless of the topic, you must remain engaged. You must appear interested. You must contribute thoughtfully. And you must do all of this while maintaining perfect posture and flawless manners. The work is exhausting. Yet over time, these skills become second nature. You begin recognizing patterns. You learn how to guide conversations away from uncomfortable subjects. You learn how to redirect attention gracefully. You become skilled at managing the mood of an entire room. This ability proves especially useful when dealing with wealthy patrons. Among the most significant figures in a geisha's life may be a dana, a patron who provides financial support. Maintaining the appearance expected of a geisha is extremely expensive. Kimono cost fortunes. Hair ornaments are costly. Training itself requires substantial resources. Because of this, many geisha rely on wealthy supporters. The relationship varies greatly. Some patrons simply appreciate traditional arts and wish to support them. Others expect a closer personal connection. The situation is rarely simple. You quickly learn that managing these relationships requires careful judgment. A patron may be powerful, influential, wealthy, yet your role remains delicate. You must balance gratitude with independence, respect with boundaries, friendliness with professionalism. This balancing act becomes one of the most important challenges of your career. At the same time, you continue dealing with the physical demands of your profession. One of the most notorious examples is footwear. As a maiko, you wear tall wooden sandals called okobo. These shoes are impressive to look at. Walking in them is another matter entirely. The platforms elevate you high above the ground. Every step requires concentration. Rain transforms ordinary streets into dangerous obstacle courses. Uneven surfaces become potential disasters. Falling in front of clients would be deeply embarrassing. So you practice. Again and again. Eventually, you develop remarkable balance. Your movements become smooth, controlled, elegant. What once felt impossible gradually becomes routine. Still, your feet never fully forgive you. Throughout your training, another challenge emerges repeatedly: misunderstanding. Even during historical periods, many people misunderstood what geisha actually were. Today, those misunderstandings continue. A geisha is an entertainer, a performer, an artist. Her work centers on hospitality, music, dance, and conversation. Yet many outsiders confuse geisha with courtesans. The distinction is significant. Although both groups may have worn elaborate clothing and participated in highly structured social environments, their roles were fundamentally different. As a result, part of your job involves correcting misconceptions politely. You cannot simply confront guests aggressively. That would violate the standards of grace expected from you. Instead, you learn the art of gentle correction. A guest makes an incorrect assumption. You smile. You redirect. You educate without embarrassing him. This requires patience. Lots of patience. The same misunderstandings may appear repeatedly throughout your career. Yet maintaining dignity remains essential. Another critical skill is learning how to refuse requests without causing offense. Direct rejection is often considered impolite in many social situations. Therefore, you develop more subtle methods. A guest may become overly familiar. He may suggest something inappropriate. He may attempt to cross boundaries. Rather than responding harshly, you redirect the conversation. You change the subject. You offer a polite excuse. You create distance while preserving harmony. To outsiders, this may appear effortless. In reality, it is an advanced social skill requiring years of practice. A successful geisha becomes a master of communication. She understands what people are saying. More importantly, she understands what they are not saying. She notices moods, tensions, hidden intentions, small changes in atmosphere. She adapts accordingly. By now, your life has become a constant performance. Not because you are pretending to be someone else, but because every interaction requires awareness and control. You are musician, dancer, host, conversationalist, and diplomat all at once. Most people only see the beautiful surface. Few recognize the discipline required to maintain it. Yet despite the challenges, you continue growing. Each performance improves your confidence. Each conversation sharpens your instincts. Each year adds experience. Without realizing it, you are slowly transforming from an apprentice into something much more accomplished. And soon, another challenge awaits. Because the greatest competition in a geisha house does not always come from difficult clients. Sometimes, it comes from the people living under the same roof. Life inside an okiya may appear peaceful from the outside. Paper walls, soft music, elegant women moving gracefully through quiet hallways. But beneath that calm surface lies a highly competitive world. Every apprentice wants to succeed. Every maiko wants recognition. Every geisha wants respected clients and a strong reputation. No one openly fights. No one raises their voice. The battles are far more subtle. You begin noticing it almost immediately. A compliment that feels slightly insincere. A smile that doesn't quite reach someone's eyes. A rumor that seems to spread a little too quickly. Everything is polite. Everything is controlled. Yet competition exists everywhere. A successful performance can attract attention. Attention brings opportunities. Opportunities bring prestige. Prestige brings clients. And clients bring income. Naturally, not everyone is happy when someone else becomes successful. You learn that reputation is one of the most valuable things you possess. Building it takes years. Losing it can happen in a single evening. Every interaction matters. The way you greet guests. The quality of your performances. Your reliability. Your professionalism. People remember. And in a profession built on relationships, memory is powerful. At first, you try to avoid the politics entirely. You focus on training. You focus on improving. But eventually, everyone becomes part of the social ecosystem. You cannot escape it. You simply learn how to navigate it. The senior geisha often serve as examples. Some are generous teachers. They offer advice. They share experience. They help younger women avoid mistakes. Others are less supportive. Success can create jealousy. Favoritism can create resentment. A popular apprentice may suddenly find herself under increased scrutiny. Every mistake becomes more noticeable. Every success becomes more controversial. Yet this environment teaches an important lesson. Grace is not only about appearance. It is also about behavior. You learn how to remain calm under pressure. How to respond professionally when treated unfairly. How to protect your reputation without creating unnecessary conflict. These skills become just as important as music or dance. Years pass. Your performances improve. Your confidence grows. Clients begin requesting your company specifically. You are no longer simply following others. You are developing your own identity. People recognize your face. They remember your conversations. They appreciate your performances. The transition happens gradually. One day, you realize something surprising. You are no longer the nervous apprentice who once struggled to carry tea trays without spilling them. You have become experienced, respected, trusted. Soon, the final stage of your transformation arrives. You become a full geisha. Unlike your debut as a maiko, this change is less dramatic. There is no grand public spectacle, no sudden transformation. Instead, it feels like crossing an invisible threshold. Your appearance changes. The bright, colorful clothing associated with apprentices becomes more refined, more elegant, more restrained. The elaborate hairstyles of youth are replaced with professional wigs. This may not sound exciting, but after years of sleeping carefully to protect your hair, it feels revolutionary. For the first time in years, sleeping becomes easier. Your makeup becomes subtler. Your overall appearance reflects maturity rather than youthful training. The visual message changes. You are no longer a student. You are a master of your craft. But greater status also brings greater responsibility. Now you perform without supervision. You host gatherings independently. You manage entire evenings on your own. Clients expect confidence. They expect professionalism. They expect excellence. And now, there is no one else to hide behind. Everything depends on you. Fortunately, years of preparation have made you ready. Your shamisen performances are stronger. Your dancing is more polished. Your conversational skills have become effortless. You can read a room within minutes, sometimes within seconds. You know when people are bored. You know when they are uncomfortable. You know when they are trying to impress someone. You know when they need encouragement. This awareness becomes your greatest strength. Many people misunderstand power. They imagine loud voices, authority, control. But geisha culture teaches a different version of power. True influence often comes through subtlety, a carefully chosen word, a pause at the right moment, a simple glance. A successful geisha learns that silence can be more powerful than speech. Clients respect your judgment. Younger apprentices look to you for guidance. Your role within the okiya changes completely. Now you are expected to teach. The girls who once reminded you of yourself begin arriving. Nervous, uncertain, overwhelmed. You show them how to bow, how to walk, how to perform, how to survive the demanding world they have entered. Sometimes you recognize your younger self in them. The awkward mistakes, the uncertainty, the ambition, the fear. And you realize how far you have come. Yet despite your accomplishments, the work remains demanding. The performances continue. The expectations never disappear. Tradition carries weight. Every generation is responsible for preserving it. You now carry part of that responsibility. You are no longer simply representing yourself. You represent centuries of history, generations of women who mastered the same skills, performed the same dances, played the same melodies, and maintained the same standards. The realization is both inspiring and intimidating, because being a geisha is not merely a profession. It is becoming part of something larger than yourself. Years continue passing. The younger apprentices become maiko. The maiko become geisha. Time moves forward. The world changes. Fashion changes. Technology changes. Society changes. Yet many traditions remain. And through all those changes, you remain connected to a history stretching back centuries. Eventually, however, another question begins to emerge. What happens after the performances? What happens when the years of training, entertaining, and maintaining perfection begin to slow? What happens when a geisha reaches the final chapter of her journey? That answer, like much of geisha life, is more complex than most people imagine. Because there is no dramatic retirement, no final performance, no grand farewell, only another transformation waiting quietly in the distance. After years of training, performances, and endless dedication to your craft, a question eventually appears. What happens next? Most professions have a clear ending. A retirement party, a farewell speech, A final day of work. For a geisha, things are different. There is rarely a dramatic goodbye. No grand ceremony marks the end of a career. Instead, the transition happens gradually. One season you are performing almost every evening. A few years later, you begin accepting fewer engagements. You attend smaller gatherings. You spend more time teaching and less time entertaining. The spotlight slowly moves toward the younger generation. At first, this change feels strange. For so long, your life revolved around schedules, performances, clients, and endless preparation. Now, younger women are taking those roles. The apprentices who once nervously followed your instructions are becoming accomplished performers themselves. You watch them make the same mistakes you once made. You watch them struggle with difficult dances. You watch them worry about their first major performances. And gradually, you realize something important. Your role has changed. You are no longer only a performer. You have become a teacher. Many experienced geisha spend their later years passing knowledge to the next generation. The lessons go far beyond music and dance. They teach patience, professionalism, discipline, emotional intelligence, the countless small details that cannot be learned from books. Some former geisha become instructors in traditional arts. Others remain connected to their okiya, helping guide new apprentices through the difficult early years. A few eventually become okasan, the house mothers who manage geisha houses. The transformation is almost poetic. The woman who once evaluated your first bow now stands beside you as an equal. And one day, you may become the person welcoming a frightened 6-year-old apprentice through the same doorway. Life continues. The traditions continue. The cycle repeats. Some geisha choose marriage. Others remain devoted to their profession for most of their lives. Many continue participating in cultural events long after their busiest years have passed. Their performances may become less frequent, but their influence often grows stronger. Experience carries its own authority. A respected elder geisha can command attention without saying much at all. A simple gesture, a brief observation, a quiet smile. Years of experience give weight to even the smallest actions. The younger women notice. The guests notice. Everyone notices. Because mastery often becomes quieter with age. The need to impress disappears. Confidence becomes natural. Eventually, you find yourself reflecting on the life you lived. The years of training. The endless rehearsals. The aching knees. The heavy kimono. The sleepless nights spent protecting elaborate hairstyles. The difficult clients. The rivalries. The pressure. The expectations. None of it was easy, yet all of it shaped you. Many people spend their entire lives searching for purpose. You spent yours preserving an art form. You transformed ordinary gatherings into memorable experiences. You turned conversation into performance. You turned hospitality into artistry. You learned how to create beauty through discipline rather than excess. And perhaps most importantly, you learned how to remain yourself within a world that constantly demanded perfection. The world around you changes. Cities grow larger. Technology advances. New generations adopt new customs. Yet some things endure. A traditional dance. A melody played on a shamisen. The careful folding of a kimono. The graceful movement of a fan. These traditions survive because people like you devoted years to preserving them. History rarely remembers every individual. Your name may never appear in textbooks. Future generations may never know the details of your life. But influence does not always require recognition. Sometimes legacy exists in quieter forms. It exists in the apprentice who repeats a lesson you once taught. It exists in the musician who performs a song you helped preserve. It exists in the audience member who experiences wonder during a performance and never forgets it. Your contribution becomes part of something larger than yourself. A tradition stretching across centuries. And perhaps that is the true achievement. Not fame. Not wealth. Not recognition. But continuity. The knowledge that your efforts helped carry an ancient art form forward. Long after your final performance. Long after the applause fades, long after the lanterns are extinguished, the traditions remain, the stories remain, and in those traditions, a small part of you remains as well. You began as a frightened child entering an unfamiliar house. You became an apprentice, then an artist, then a mentor, and finally, a living link in a chain connecting generations. The world may remember castles, emperors, and battles, but history is also built by people who dedicate themselves to preserving culture. People who keep traditions alive when everything else changes. That is your story. Not one of power or conquest, but of discipline, resilience, and quiet mastery. And as another young apprentice steps through the doors of the Okiya for the first time, the cycle begins again. The music continues. The lessons continue. The tradition continues. And so, in its own way, do you.